Okay, I'm going to show you something that I find super interesting and really helpful when you're trying to understand what different parameters do. I'm just going to upload an image. Let's just take, this image here. And I want to understand the denoising parameter with image to image. If I don't understand that very well, I can just go, denoising is, my understanding of it is the less denoising you have, then the less change to the actual image when you're generating the new image. I want to understand that, and there's a pretty cool thing you can do, which is in here, which is an XYZ plot. And it gives you X, Y, and Z variables. You don't have to put anything in them, but in particular, you can go in here and choose the different variables that you want to test. And here we find denoising. And we're just going to put, I want a 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, and 0.9. And I just want to understand how they work. Okay, and I'm going to take here include sub-images because I want to actually get the images at the end as well. And I'm just going to put this as Pixar-Cat, or Pixar, a cat in a Pixar movie. All right, and I'm going to hit generate. And what that does is it runs a script to then basically run this prompt multiple times. So it's going to use the same prompt, and it's going to go through and it's going to run it for 0.1 denoising, 0.3 denoising, 0.5, and so on. So it's just a really good programmatic way to mess around with different parameters and see how they work. And you can see it's starting to run here. I'm just going to come back to this in a second when it's finished running. I'm just going to pause now. All right, we're back and it's finished. And what we can see here is the effects of denoising. This one here, we can see it ran with denoising 0.1. This is a little bit more denoising, 0.3. And now it's starting to get a bit more Pixar at 0.5. And now it's a lot more Pixar at 0.7. And then this is like getting pretty close to Pixar. And you can actually see this, it generates a grid as well. So you can see how it changes over time. So this, you might know what denoising does, but now you can see it visually on your image, you start to understand like where's the sweet spot. And I think maybe you could even go stronger, but for me, like this one looks the most visually appealing. These ones still look too similar to the original and be different for every image. So that's how you do the XYZ plot. The other thing you could do here, which I find quite useful, is understand the combination of two different things. So if we put CFG scale, and then we just want to do, let's say, a CFG scale of 5, 8, and 12. And then I'm going to reduce the denoising parameters because I know that works pretty fine. So I'm just going to do these three. So now I should have a grid of 3x3 pictures. If I hit generate, what it's going to do is going to create a grid between those two parameters. So I'm going to pause again and then I'll come back. Okay, we've got it. Here's our grid. Here on the left hand side we have the CFG scale, which is the classifier free guidance, how much it follows the prompt. And then you have denoising here. We can see that with the higher denoising, it gets definitely more Pixar, which makes a big difference. But then the CFG scale also makes a big difference here as well. So it looks like the denoising has to be pretty high in order to really change the image towards Pixar. But once that is high, then going from a CFG scale of 5 to an 8 really brings out the Pixar. And then to a 12, again, it makes it even more Pixar. It does lose a lot of the original image, like it doesn't have the same stance anymore as well. It's all about how you adapt this. Like you can see, if you wanted a cat that looked just like this but a little bit more Pixar, then maybe this would be a good path to go down. You get all the resulting images underneath as well, and then if you want to replicate them, you can. And you have all the details here of which one specifically this one is. And you can take the seed as well and just play around with it. That's how you do XYZ plots. Really powerful tool. And there's a lot of different parameters you can add in here. You can even do a Z axis, different styles, like different face restoration. You can check whether that works or not. You can do different mask weights, prompt orders, even different models as well. Check out different models. You can also use this to move along the seed, so like search along the latent space. You can also see the value of doing different steps. Really, the world is your oyster, and this is a good programmatic way to really test out your prompts. All right, hopefully that was useful.